like as helpful as it can be like in this sort of crunch period. So like if there's any pressing things that people have questions on that I might be able to answer, um, I guess we could do that. Unless you guys just want me to try to noodle around in Enscape and show you how to get started.
We could
Um,
we could start with noodling in case everyone's
okay.
like it's there, right? It's like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll do that then. All right, I'll share my screen. Um, okay, you guys can see, right? Okay. So, Enscape is a program that's really interesting in that it sort of sits in between like a standalone real-time rendering software like Lumion or D5 and sort of a like a plug-in kind of rendering software like V-Ray. For people that are familiar, uh, V-Ray is sort of like offline rendering, so it's very, very detailed. And by offline, I mean like not real time. It's not like a world that you can fly around. It's sort of something that you set up and then it runs really accurate, but takes a really, really, really long time. But that's like where you get your like marketing level renderings from. But for most things, for like academic projects, for quick renders for clients, like in the in the professional world, real-time renderers are really useful because of how fast they are. Um, so Enscape, as you know, is one of them, and it sits within your modeling software. So in this case, I'm using Rhino. I think virtually everyone is using Rhino. And when you install Enscape, you'll get this little toolbar up here. And if you don't, you just go to Window or something and toolbars and you can find it. But uh, prior to opening up Enscape, the first thing you want to do is just really have your layers organized. That's like super important. Right now, everything looks like it's on the same layer, but if I go to rendered view, you can see that I've separated everything out by material. And these are all just default materials. They're like the plaster. And then I just change the color so that Enscape can sort of understand which one is which and can identify uh, what what material I'm trying to change. Some programs like D5, for example, can do it based on layer. I don't believe you need to define a material. It understands the native layers of Rhino, but I'm pretty sure for Enscape you need these materials assigned. But a beer, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm good at Enscape. And full disclosure, I like learned this over the weekend, so if I could do that, you can totally catch on really fast. So anyway, to start Enscape, you just press this little button over here, the little play button, and it will launch the this window where, yeah, okay. So here you can see this model. This is just like a little courtyard. Um, and within Enscape, it sort of appears in this weird infinite world. And something I like to do, especially if you don't have two screens, is to go up to settings and where is it? In preferences, just pin it so that it stays on top of the Rhino screen. If you have two displays, you could just put one on one, but I'm only sharing one display right now, so I'm just gonna do it like this. But okay, so something that I like to do, especially if I don't have like a context model already loaded in. Enscape has something really cool that a lot of real-time renderers have, which is like a built-in context um, model. I think it pulls from OpenStreetMap. So you can go and click on the site context icon up here, and you can add site context, and it will pull up a map. It will have your model to scale and then sort of the boundary of what part of the city you want to import. So this is actually really far away from here. This is like way over in Queens. Um, so I'll pull it over here. And let's see. So you zoom in. I know I'm like somewhere over here. This is totally not from work and definitely not a new school that's going up in Queens. Uh, is it? Oh, here it is. You can see I sort of have this building already modeled in. So you can kind of place it where you want it, rotate it to be correct. And then, the smaller your context model, the better it'll run on your computer. Generally, Enscape is pretty friendly on computer hardware, so I don't think you'll need like a supercomputer to use it. And then, okay, so once that's in, you just press import and it will load it in. So this is good if you have, just you just want like something around so that your model isn't like floating in space and depending or if you have a context model imported already. Uh, and if we zoom in here, so you could see the topography is actually like going over my model in the map data. So like if you open up the site context frame, which I already have open, it'll list every single building. So like you could turn off certain buildings if you want. Um, but something I'm going to do just to get rid of this weirdness is just turn off the topography. So it's virtually the same thing. Um, anyway, so moving around in these real-time renderers is kind of like a video game. It's like WASD. Um, and you kind of fly around. It can take a little bit to get used to, but you just kind of have to practice. So, um, so how do we texture this? How do we import things? The first thing to know is that Enscape is unique in that um, it actually sort of assigns materials in Rhino and then references it within the plugin. So that means that all of the modifications that you'll make to the scale of the texture, the mapping of it will all take place in Rhino, and it's just sort of computed in Enscape. So if we wanted to, for example, like add a concrete texture to these seat walls that are going around, what you can do up here, this little swatch, paint swatch looking thing, this is your material library. So here you'll have a whole bunch of materials that Enscape provides. And let's say I go over to concrete and I can pick one of these and I can import it. And now what it'll do, if it should populate within your material library within Rhino. So if you go over to materials, way at the end here, you can see concrete. So what I can do now, since I have all my layers separated by materials, I can go to interior wall and set the material to that concrete.
Di Dianara, do you have a question?
Yeah, so that was on the Enscape window. That
So
you click the material to pop up.
the material, so um, in order to assign the material, um, you do it within Rhino, but it's through this Enscape little toolbar. Here, I'll just pull it out. This is sort of the way that you really assign materials, you place objects. And you do it all within Rhino. But then Enscape is this other little window that I have minimized right now. But if I go like that, and this is how it's sort of represented in Enscape. So we've applied like the material in Rhino, and you can see it's even showing here. But the actual renders in here, and you can see the scales off and whatever, and we'll fix that. Um, but yeah, you apply the materials not in the Enscape window, but in the Rhino um, toolbar, the Enscape toolbar in Rhino. And then you'll get this little thing. Was that clear? Or
Yeah, thank you. So it's like on the
yeah.
plugin, it shows the
Yeah.
toolbar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little confusing. But it's easy once you sort of start working within it. Um, so like I was saying, all of the texture and material parameters are actually defined within your Rhino material. So if I dock this somewhere, oh no. And I go over to, let's say I like want to change like let's do this one simple. This little wall here. Um, that actually looks way better than the other ones. But this can take a lot of sort of messing around. If you go to materials or is it textures? Is it here it is. So in your materials, you'll have some settings here that should allow you to modify. Huh. Okay, that's bizarre. Typically, when you have a material, it will assign it like a texture here, and then you can adjust the repeat or the scale. Let me see. Okay. Here, let's try something else. Let's texture the ground, this like lawn area, right? So we go here and we go to, I guess, grounds. And we want to use like whatever, this grass. So we can import it like we did before. And it shows up in our materials palette. And now we can go over to our layers, and I believe it's this layer. Yeah. Yeah. Grass. It can look kind of weird in Rhino, um, but when you open the Enscape window, you can see how it actually kind of wants to render out. So this is like nice in 3D, and it actually came in at an appropriate scale. Um, and really what you do is just go around and texture everything to like what you want it to be. And I'm really confused about this concrete situation, but I don't want to stay focused on that. Ideally, yeah, you'd have some settings here that would allow you to change the scale of it. Oh, oh wait, did it do something? No. Okay, well, that's great. Um, so in addition to textures, right, you also have like assets. So like, let's say you want like trees or like other plants, especially since your site is very much like it's very landscape, right? You probably want to import some trees and whatnot. And it's the same thing. So instead of materials, it's going to be the asset library. So this is like your material thing. This is your asset library. And if you click on there, you'll have a whole bunch of um, pre-built-in vegetation, models of people, furniture, pretty much everything. From what I can tell, Enscape has a fairly it's definitely growing, but like it's fairly limited in terms of plants. It looks like that there's a lot here, but once you actually start like messing around with it, you realize like it doesn't have everything you want. D5, in my opinion, is the best with plant library. They really like are the only rendering software that really like advertises like landscape, as like a selling point. So that's like definitely something to consider as well. And once you learn like one of these programs, all the other ones kind of, you can just easily pick them up. So it doesn't really matter where you start. But anyway, let's say we wanted to like, you know, choose one of these plants. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you're on the right layer because it's going to come in on whatever layer you're on. So if we go over, let's say we make like a tree layer, and we can select that layer and then trees and maybe this tree. So, uh, oh, does someone have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. So
Okay.
you're saying that D5 has more available plants than Enscape, and how about Lumion?
Lumion, uh, okay. Lumion has some benefits and drawbacks. The drawback is that the plants are pretty limited, but they read kind of diagrammatically, which some people really like, especially in the professional world where you're trying to get across an idea, not necessarily like a specific species. But Lumion is definitely probably not what you want to go for if you're trying to have like the biggest, most detailed, realistic plant library. It's probably going to either be Enscape or D5.
Yeah, and
Mm,
I
Mhm.
echo that. We stopped Lumion and we switched to D5. But for rendering, I feel like Lumion it's too in between. It's not good enough for a render, but
Mhm.
then diagrammatic, it's still a little too realistic. So it gives
Mhm.
the clients the idea that this looks finished. So what we've switched to is D5, but then render just things in the front. You can still Photoshop to make it look like the whole thing was Photoshopped.
Mhm.
But for me, the drawback with D5 is it needs a powerful computer. And if you Google it, they tell you the specs. And for someone young like Chris, it's like, okay, of course I have this machine. But for an office, not everyone has that machine. So I feel like Enscape's a little more friendly in terms of you don't need a super powerful machine. Your 5-year-old
mm,
machine could probably
Mhm.
handle it, but for the D5s, we had to buy new machines for the people using
Mhm.
them.
oh, I'm using Lumion and Enscape, but I never tried D5, and I'm just like trying to figure out is it worth like using D5 at all? Just like because is it like if I need an I mean I can open the Lumion on my current laptop, so I believe I can open D5 as well, right?
You're
Mhm.
Because
probably okay.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it cheaper for students? Also for an office, everything's expensive, but D5 is cheaper than Lumion even at the professional level.
Lumion is for
So,
Yeah.
free. Lumion is for free, and
oh,
D5 is not, I think. So we have to pay it, same as a Enscape price. I think it's like 150 yearly,
I
something
see.
like that. That's how much I pay Enscape.
Hmm. Wait, you're saying Lumion has a free version?
Yeah, for the students. Yes.
Okay, okay. Something about D5 though is that regardless of if you're a student or not, just whatever, when you guys graduate or something, there is actually a free tier. You don't get all the assets, but it's not bad. That's just something to consider. But
How? Okay.
ultimately, sorry, what?
No, I mean, how do you mean D5 is now you have to pay it, right, as a student?
Um, Yeah. No, I think D5 is still free. I'm on my like work like account, so I don't. really know. But I
Mm.
thought D5 was free for students back when, like last year at least. And there's definitely a free
No,
version.
I was
Yeah.
checking this year because I'm like paying the Enscape, and I was like I have to choose between those two, either D5 or Enscape, and I didn't
Hmm.
have time to start to use new software at that
Hmm.
moment. So I was like, okay, I know Enscape already. That's it. I'm gonna go with that. But I really
Hmm.
want to try D5 because I heard a lot about good things about that software. That's the only thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely recommend trying it. My office is completely switching to D5 um, from Lumion. Um, and like it seems like people are happy with it. I think the interface is like the best selling point. It's just much easier. It's like more intuitive
Hmm.
than the other ones in my opinion. But to each their own.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Um, So what was I doing? Trees. So or just assets in general, right? So like really when you're rendering something, you have like materials and you have assets. So materials are as simple as just sort of applying them and then like scaling them or you know sometimes you may even need to like explode surfaces and stuff um to like get it to map correctly. Um but that can be a whole rabbit hole. Anyway, so let's say we want to place a tree. And we wanted to place what's a nice tree here? That one looks fun. All right. So let's place this one. This is definitely not the tree that would go in this sort of courtyard. Um, why do I keep doing that? So if you press this little down arrow, you have sort of two options. I like to place the asset on a surface and then modify from there. Um, So I can go, for example, let's say I just want to like place it here, whatever, right? I could just place it and it will give me this incredibly low poly version of the tree. And this is really just so Rhino doesn't explode. But Enscape understands that this is, something much more detailed, and there's metadata that allows Enscape to render this out in more detail. So if you open the Enscape window, you can see that we have our actual tree here. And this is the same process for everything basically. So like, let's say you wanted to place like I don't know, some grasses or something, right? Uh, let's just go and do that. And then what we can do is you can modify all the geometry just like anything else in Rust. So if you want to scale it or like copy it over a bunch of times, uh, and when you jump into Enscape, you can see that there I've appeared down there. So it's nice to be able to sort of work um, simultaneously in both programs. Lots of software has capabilities to do this through what's called like live linking. But what's cool about Enscape is that because it's just natively like a plugin, it tends to just work really well. Sometimes like other plugins that try to link standalone software with Rhino will like disconnect sometimes. They're still sort of refining that. But Enscape is nice because it just sort of lives inside Rhino. Um, what else? So some other things, hypothetically, let's say we were done with this render, right? Let's full screen this. So, oh my God. So let's say we were done with this render, right? The client really want these pink pavers and this is incredible, right? And we wanted to export a render, right? You need a way to get it out of here. Um, the way that you do that in Enscape is really simple, almost like too simple. But you, well, the first thing you want to do actually is open up view management and set a view so you can always come back to it. So let's say we like really want it to like look this way. We can create a view and we can actually adjust the sun independently here if we want to, but because we've imported our context, um, it's geolocated, so the sun should appear where it is in real life. And you can modify that, I believe, in atmosphere and sky, somewhere in there. So anyway, so let's say we create this. That means that pretty much anywhere that we fly around to, we can click there and it'll jump right back. So this is a good way to like set up views before you even start rendering, because especially when like, final reviews like tomorrow and you need some renders out or something, you can really like texture and put in assets that are really sort of contained within the view and sort of leave some stuff out to save time that is not captured within the view. And you can set up like a couple different views that, can sort of set like a baseline for like what you're trying to show. And then rendering is really as simple as like pressing the screenshot button and you could just, yeah, save it somewhere, save, it'll export. And sometimes it takes a minute. And then it should just appear here. Yeah. So there's our incredible render. Um, but like, let's say you wanted to change the resolution or something, right? On this side of the Enscape window, you have like a lot of your visual settings. So if you go to output, you can change your resolution to 4K or something even higher if you want. You can export material IDs, which are really important actually if you want to bring this into Photoshop. So maybe let's do that. Let's do that. Uh, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So because we have that on now, we can get that out. We can screenshot, name it, whatever, save. And here we go. So here is what I just exported. And you can see it generated these other files. So you have like the main thing, and then you have all of these other um, files that are generated. And what this does is, there's lots of uses for this, but one thing that I really like, especially this object ID um, output, is that it allows you to easily select things in Photoshop. So like hypothetically, if I were to right click the original image and open it in Photoshop, uh, this is probably like one of the most important things really. Uh, and then I can go in and drop, for example, this one. And now this allows me to basically select whatever I want super easily. So let's say I wanted to like change the, I don't know, like the saturation of the grass. What I can do is I can, well, first of all, let's change this to a smart object because that's always good. And I can use the magic wand tool to just easily select like the green. Or even better, I can go over to select and then color range, select the color, and then it'll select all that stuff. And I can easily create like, like a mask or something. So I can like do that. And then, I don't know, let's see. to do. Well, then this mask right here basically is invisible, but it's only allows like whatever you do to this layer is only applied to the areas that are white in there. You can see there's like white and black. So, for example, if I were to like change or even like just paint on it or something, right? Yeah. So that's there a better way of doing this is actually all right. So like let's say now that that's selected and I wanted to just change like the saturation of this area. I could just like only saturate that area because I have that selected, um, which would be much harder to do without that layer because of all the variations in tone here. So that's super important. And what else? I have a little list over here that you guys can't see. Yeah, I think that's like the main sort of things, right? It's like adding materials, adding assets, setting up views, and then your export settings. And really, the best way to just go forward is just to try it. Hey, I see you have a question.
Go for it, Christina.
It's me again. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm just curious. Whenever you want to input materials
Hmm.
to Enscape, like from not just the Enscape materials, the other materials
Hmm.
from you find online,
Yeah.
where do you get them?
Where do you get materials?
Yes, online.
Oh, I have something for you. Hold
Yeah, great. That's what
on.
I was
Um,
waiting for.
okay, so there's this website called Architectures that um, I I haven't been rendering a lot, so I don't use it much anymore, but I used to use it a ton. And really, it's just pretty much everything you could ever want. And if you don't see anything here, you can create your own custom texture. So like if you go to create, um,
Oh, great.
you can like
Okay.
change the whatever and change the like you can get a bump map. Although for certain things you do have to get like the pro thing, but honestly, it's worth it. Like for like $8 for that month, like to
Oh,
just
okay.
completely forget about looking for textures. Like it's actually incredible. But you can change anything. You like whatever texture you want, you can make it. Um, and there's all kinds of materials. There's even some companies like manufacturers that like partner with them. Like for example, LCI, like this is their like verified whatever like texture for some material that they actually manufacture. Um, so that this is where I get them. There's like lots of other places, but in my opinion, this is like, just the easiest and it just like cuts out a lot of the searching around. Um,
Mhm.
and you can
And
just
you,
export at whatever resolution you want.
okay, you just like
Hmm.
save it and export it and import it
Hmm.
to the Enscape, right?
Yep, you import it. Into Rhino actually. So straight into Rhino as a like norm as you would texture anything in Rhino, you just apply it and Enscape will recognize it and then render it appropriately within the Enscape window.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Um, does anyone else have any questions?
Hi, Chris. It's Zico. I've
Hey.
I've got a question. How do you get the in Rhino? How do you get the Enscape too, but I think I missed it at the beginning of the class.
How do you get the toolbar?
Yeah.
When you download Enscape,
Mhm.
it will, I believe it didn't come in automatically. You have to go to toolbars and then here I have. See, now it says Enscape, but at first it doesn't. Okay, it'll probably look like this when you open up your toolbars
Yeah.
settings. You have to go up to this drop-down menu and just go over to Enscape
Okay.
dot Rhino 8, whatever.
Okay.
And then just click the first one. I think these are just like different languages, but the normal Enscape one is the one
Yeah.
that I'm using. And then it'll just pop this little thing up and you're good to go.
Oh, then I can just dock it in the
Mhm.
right at the top. Good. Thanks. Appreciate it. I also I didn't know you could do that. The context. The context mapping with the buildings in Landscape. So
Yeah,
this has
yeah,
been super helpful.
yeah. It's nice to have. What's annoying is that you can't really like adjust it that much, but for just basic massing,
Mhm.
it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it saves me the trouble of having to model all of this.
Mhm.
All right, thanks.
Does anyone have any like modeling specific questions or anything like that?
I have a question. Hi,
Hey,
Chris.
hey.
Um, so I was playing with Enscape, and like you're right, you have this model in the middle of this like isolated island, right?
Hmm.
Now, if we're doing it in Central Park, like we can't do the site context, it won't add the trees. Do I just have to add loads and loads of trees to fill it up? Or is there
Uh
something else I can do?
yeah, so for modeling, I chose sort of a very ideal thing, which is this like walled garden, you know. But for a continuous landscape, yeah, so there are quick ways to do that. Um, like typically real-time rendering software has like scatter tools, which will allow you to like place trees like everywhere really fast. It's not super like accurate, but for like the background, it might work well. Um, I don't know if I haven't tried that in Enscape, but here, let me see. Scatter. Mm, Yeah, whoa. It looks like there are some scatter techniques. I don't know how to do it off the top of my head, but scattering might help. But really, like for I guess local kind of context, yeah, I mean, I would just go in and just add trees. It might just be good to like take a day and just like really get your base model like really good, so that your design and everything that you do to that just is way easier down the road. Sometimes it's just kind of, yeah, just
Right.
taking the long way.
Hmm.
All right, thank you.
Mm.
Hi, Chris. Sorry, I was just looking at your window, and then I noticed on the left where you have the first icon that has got the tree, and then the second one with like the three trees. Maybe that would be it. I
Oh, I
like
think
it says
you're right.
multi-asset clustering.
Yeah, I think you're right. Multi-asset. I think you're very much correct. Let's see.
By the way, I've also never tried multi. I've never tried this in Landscape either, so kind of learning on the fly.
So it looks like um, Um, oh, cool. You can adjust the density. Okay, so there is kind of this scatter. Yeah, that might be good to mess around with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess once you hit apply, it'll return confirm placement plan. So I wonder if that pops up in Rhino. Oh, it does. Okay, cool. So you're actually able to place that in the Enscape window, and then it will work backwards and place it in Rhino. Cool. Anyone have any other questions?
I have a question about the shapefile. So,
Hmm.
like, I've been looking around the open data, and I can't find which one would be like you showed the one where it had the buildings, the paths,
Hmm.
and I can't find that. Which shapefile would that be?
Yeah, I'll find it right now. Let's see. Okay, so I just looked up NYC Planimetric and New York City Open Data typically has all of it. Here, let's just go to the homepage. You can just type in. Yeah. So if you just type in Planimetric, um, wait, which data set are you trying to find in particular, or are you just looking for just the general kind of list of them?
I got the contours and stuff straight from ArcGIS, but I need
Hmm.
the paths. I need the
Oh,
paths
okay.
to
Yeah,
fit
yeah,
the
yeah.
contour.
So like, for example, the sidewalk one is right here.
Okay, and
Um,
that will include
yeah.
paths within the park, within
Hmm.
Central Park.
This will include the entire city, all the boroughs, everything. And then you'll just have to clip it down to your site. So I'll actually put this, I'm just going to put this in the chat just so it's in there.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Chat. Okay. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of cool things in here. Railroads, plazas, boardwalks, open space, other, whatever that means. Hydrography, that this is like your the shape files for like lakes and rivers and stuff, which is really nice. This is pretty new too. It's a couple years ago they didn't have any of this. I think they just within the last like 2 years assembled this new database.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, there's also something that I want to show you guys. I think I might have put it in the description of the video, but land arc tools is something that I have recently discovered, and it's really good. Specifically, like there's like a Grasshopper like component library, but there's also just like a toolbar right over here. So these like pink things. And one thing that I really like, especially for making paths and stuff, at like a particular slope, is this tool. So like hypothetically, like let's say you're making like I don't know, a path going like that. Um, and like that's like the center line. If you go into perspective, it's like flat. I'm drawing on a flat plane. And there's this tool called grade curve. Yeah. And it allows you to enter a height or a ratio number. Um, like let's say like I do like height, I don't know, we're in millimeters. I don't know, whatever, 10. So like it will grade that like smoothly from down there to the end of the curve, which then you can offset to like whatever width you want. And this is like so simple, but doing this in Rhino, like the way that I did it in the tutorial was like I had all these lines and then I lifted them up and then I drew a line like to all the midpoints and it's just kind of tedious. Um, so that's a great tool. I just wanted to like share that. Um, is everyone doing like a 3D model or are some people just kind of working in 2D? Because sometimes like working in 3D is like it's great, but it's like sometimes more of a pain than it is an asset. Um,
I think we have a fair share of
mhm,
people exploring um by hand, you know. There's
mhm,
a lot of people who do beautiful drawings by hand, some
mhm,
of the landscape students. I don't know. I feel like I've seen a mix.
mhm,
But just because of the topography, I think everyone's exploring something in 3D at some point, even if it's just the analysis, and then I don't know if the final product will be
mhm,
um 3D or not. Yeah, I think it's hard to tell which is
mhm,
easier because I feel like at the same time by hand there are a lot of things that could be very difficult, like drawing 10,000 trees in the background, like, oh wait, I don't actually want this view. I want to rotate a little
mhm.
bit. And or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
spitting out a bunch of things last minute when you just want to get the concept out right. Because
Mhm.
the intervention may be small, but you're placing it into a context of like landscape. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking this would be a good like they still have enough time to figure out, well, do I want to try this? Because I feel like Enscape, if you know Rhino, it's not like learning a completely new language. So it's just one
Mhm.
more step to maybe making the Rhino model seem um, more like help with the getting the idea across. But I think everyone's exploring. Apparently, I think they're doing a physical model for this Thursday. I don't know if that's more study or going into the final.
It's cool.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, these like, yeah, there definitely is a benefit to like modeling and rendering in terms of like you build the model once and then you kind of just have like infinite possibilities in terms of like however you want to render it or what sections you want to cut. Um, but yeah, sometimes like you might just know what you want and like just go do that or whatever. But also like another thing to watch out for is like that video game kind of look. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe some people like that, but like I find that a lot of times with these real-time renderers that really push performance over like realism,
Yeah.
they tend to look like video games because they essentially use the same like computational methods as like a video game to like render scenes. So that's why that material ID thing and really like taking the time to go into Photoshop and um, you know
Yeah.
make
I
it
think the
look better.
post production is super helpful, but I'm just thinking like if it's last minute and you needed a bunch of views, people
Hmm.
maybe would forgive you for it looking like a video game versus like if you only had one drawing that was
Hmm.
perfect. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
a yeah, in our office we spend a lot of time with the post production where I
Hmm.
mean we purposely don't render the first half of the trees that are closest to the camera and do those in Photoshop. So the
Hmm.
things in the background are more, I mean, we're also, I feel like a more conventional on the side of having an appetite for things that look like they're generated from the computer. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's or putting filters on it or adjusting the transparency or opacity to make it look softer.
Hmm.
Um, but I think school is a great time to experiment. And I just did a quick Google. I thought there was D5 for educational. So it seems like if you have some type of EDU email, you can apply for it. I don't know because I've never had that, but it's worth I guess anyone who wants to invest and dip their toes in that for a week or so, maybe can go experiment.
Yeah, try
Um,
like all of them. That's like the best way to like, I guess, well, I mean, I guess if, you might not have time, but like, with these sorts of things, like just try a whole bunch of them and see what you like.
do these trees have alpha channels? Like
Have alpha channels?
yeah,
I think so.
okay.
I can't remember if did I that's depths alpha
I mean, I
mask.
guess
Yeah.
obviously if you turn them off, it would suck because there's nothing
Hmm.
behind it. So maybe you would render the trees separately, but I was curious if
Hmm.
they had alpha channels.
Yeah. I feel like they must have. But yeah, yeah, sometimes I'll just turn off the trees like when I'm working in Lumion or whatever, and then I'll like render out another one with trees.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
All right. Well, if
what
there's no
else?
further questions, I know everyone's anxious because we're near finals and they have models to work on. But
Hmm.
last call for questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna let Chris go back to work. Mondays, right? And then next week is
Yeah,
Thanksgiving. That's
Monday.
crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been this couple months has been flying.